Hello everybody and welcome to the Across the Stages podcast, brought to you by Absolute Motorsport Radio and also available on Absolute Motorsport TV. I'm James Casey and joining me as always is Joshua Suttill. Today we'll be discussing the Monte-Carlo Rally, which saw an incredible fight between Sebastien Ogier and Thierry Neuville. So the 2019 season is now underway, and despite many changes to where drivers are driving and co-drivers and everything, one thing has not changed, and that is that Sebastien Ogier has got his season underway in Monte-Carlo with a victory. His 6th Monte-Carlo win in a row, 7th overall, and significantly the 100th win for Citroën, and that's obviously in his first rally back with them. But it wasn't easy for him, not at all. Thierry Neuville giving him an incredible fight throughout the rally, and really tight in the end, and what an incredible battle that was.
Yeah, it was really good to see. I mean, I was worried at one point that Ogier was just going to run away with it, or even, I think at one point, Tanak maybe, that Toyota was going to be, pretty much unstoppable this rally. But, Neuville took the fight to Ogier. Neuville has not had a good experience with Monte before. This is actually his best result that he's ever got in Monte-Carlo. So to finish within 2.2 seconds of, a guy that, like you said, has won this 6 times in a row in 3 different cars, is pretty impressive. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic start to the season. It pretty much just confirms that this season is just going to be mega. Lots of different cars up there, 3 different cars in the top 3, and really I think we can say the 3 best drivers in the sport right now. We're on that podium.
Definitely. I think Tanak would have been really interesting to see how he would have done had he not had that problem with the puncture on Friday. But for Ogier, I think never seen him win Monte with that much of a struggle, really. He's always had it quite easy, to be honest, on the last couple of days. But, of course, he was getting used to that Citroën, and still not 100% comfortable with it, I reckon. But that's got to be definitely good signs that it worked across a pretty mixed conditions Monte, because there was a little bit of snow in there at parts. So I think that's good signs for him going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, Monte has broken that Citroën, pretty much for the past 2 years. So it was good for Ogier to be able to get to the end with only sort of minor issues. And yeah, I mean, if anyone's going to be in that car for Monte-Carlo, you want the master of Monte-Carlo. So yeah, I think it confirms that he can be competitive this year with Citroën, and we are in for a really good fight.
And so we'll move on to Tanak now. Then obviously he had that problem on it was on Friday, wasn't it? So he led on Thursday night and had the puncture on Friday, which dropped him right down. But then Saturday, a clean sweep of stage wins and a couple on Sunday as well. Incredible pace from him, but kind of an exact replica of that end of 2018 season, isn't it? Really good pace, but problems. So Toyota, I think, have got to get on top of that.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely have. I think this confirmed to me, the fastest package overall. But like we said, it's not, the reliability isn't quite there at the moment. But yeah, I mean, a really good recovery drive. He seems to be a bit of a Monte specialist as well, really. This is his 3rd podium in a row, once again up there. And like you said, I think without that problem, he'd probably be threatening Ogier.
Yeah, I think it would have been hard to fight against Tanak, because obviously we had him kind of soaring through, didn't he, on that final day past Loeb and Latvala, which was quite interesting. They didn't really have the kind of pace.
Yeah, I mean, still a haul of points at least. Obviously he had those incidents last year, and he usually completely retire or only get power stage points. At least this time, not too much damage done really in terms of the championship. Still plenty of points from this one.
And Toyota in general looked pretty good, pace-wise, not just with Tanak, but with Chris Meek as well. Like I said before the rally, I think this was probably my best prediction that I made. I said that Meek would put in good times, but not quite get the overall result. And he didn't get the overall result, but it wasn't his fault. It was the same problem as Tanak. But yeah, really good, consistent pace throughout the rally, wasn't it, from him?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a surprise to see maybe, but he seemed to fit, straight in with Toyota. He does seem a bit of a different driver. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself yet, but that power stage win as well was really good. He really took control of that one, and he walks away with the 4th most points, despite only finishing the rally 6th overall. So yeah, I think a really solid debut for Meek, and let's just hope that you can just build on this going forward because yeah, that was impressive for both him, and the team as a whole.
Yeah, just got to hope that things don't get tough because I think that's when seemingly I think he gets bogged down, doesn't he? When he has a couple of bad rounds, then it just spirals out of control. Maybe trying too hard to come back, but looked really good. And obviously he's got a new co-driver as well, and Seb Marshall. So all looks at the moment, as you say. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but really good for Meek. So hopefully that continues. And as you say, good haul of points actually. It was 13 he got out of that. So
I think,
well,
yeah, and I think Tommy Mäkinen as well kind of understands him, within that kind of driver approach. I think he maybe has a better relationship with the team than from what we saw at Citroën. It seems a bit of a closer one, a more sort of personal one than the sort of maybe colder management at Citroën. So yeah, I'm optimistic that, like you say, let's hold our breath for now.
And we'll finish off now with well, not finish off, but like our last two finishers, who were WRC runners, were Loeb and Latvala. And for me, I think that overall these two will be pretty disappointed with their rally in terms of pace. I know that Loeb was definitely towards the end, but at least they got there to the finish, looked pretty under control and solid.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was always going to be tough for Loeb, I think, doing Dakar. I think he had like 1 day of testing on tarmac or something like that. So it wasn't ideal preparation. But yeah, he did a good job. I think, like I say, he'll be disappointed to not get a podium. But realistically, I think he'd be pretty happy with fourth. Good points as well for obviously Hyundai after what happened to one of their other drivers, which we'll come on to in a moment. But yeah, I think he won't be too disheartened with that. We'll see what he can do in Sweden. And yeah, Latvala as well in fifth. He just seemed to go off the pace, didn't he, a bit? He seemed to have sort of decent pace early on, but then kind of faded for him.
I think I agree with Loeb. I think it would have been, quite frankly, stupid for anyone to suggest that he could have won this rally. Not that I did that before the rally, but no, I think we did kind of, I did kind of think that he would be able to get past the testing, but it is a big change for him. But yeah, so those were the 6 runners that finished. Then we had the other 5 who ran into problems. All 3 of the M Sport cars, Suninen on Thursday night crashed. Didn't lose, so he only got about 14 minutes of penalty, so he almost got back into the points by the end, but didn't quite. Pontus Tiedemann had problems on Saturday and missed out there, but he was quite slow anyway because he was just getting used to the car. And Evans had a big crash on Saturday, which was a bit of a weird one. So a real shame for M Sport. No drivers doing the whole event is pretty disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 1 point away from this weekend, courtesy of Sunninen's power stage performance. Sunninen, I think, was probably, I'd say, the strongest of the 3. I mean, Evans is supposed to be the team leader now, but like you say, that was a pretty big off. I think disappointing as well for Tiedemann because he was taking it steady, learning the car, so you'd hope he'd manage to get to the finish. He could have slotted in 7th, but like you say, unfortunately had an incident. So yeah, disaster. I think they're going to sweep this one under the carpet and come back strong. I think all 3 drivers will be pretty strong in Sweden. Really, I think all 3 of them like the event. So hoping for better. I think. I mean, it can't really get any worse.
I think there was at least signs there, wasn't there? Evans did a few good stages. Suninen, as you said, I think he was definitely the strongest driver quite comfortably. It's a real shame he had those problems on Thursday because I think he would have been in a pretty good spot at an event that shouldn't really suit him. But yeah, didn't get the result unfortunately. And then our other 2 drivers who ran into problems was Esa-Pekka Lappi, who had he had the same problem as Tiedemann. He had suspension damage just from I can't even remember what happened. I think he just slightly clipped something, so quite unlucky. And then when he restarted, he had engine failure on the first stage back on Saturday, which was a shame. And then Andres Mikkelsen, who crashed at the end of a stage, literally just going across the finish line. But I suppose we didn't get to see much of Lappi, but Mikkelsen was doing quite well, wasn't he, before that crash?
Yeah, I think that's the worst thing about it, really, isn't it? Because he was actually showing decent pace. We have seen this before, and then it all sort of goes wrong anyway. So, again, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but it was a solid start. The impact was pretty solid as well. Yeah, pretty clumsy, really, from Mikkelsen. Maybe just taking a lapse in concentration. I don't really know, but yeah, not a good start for either of them. And Lappy, like you say, we didn't really see anything from him because his rally was over pretty quickly.
Yeah. So I suppose at least Mickelson's got the signs of improvement pace-wise, but he does need to start getting results. He can't say all the pace has improved unless he's proving it with full results.
Talk will quickly sort of turn to next year and the driver market. We know his contract is up at the end of the year, and we know that there's quite a few drivers wanting a seat. So yeah, it's difficult times.
So let's go back to people who did well. We're down to 7th now overall, and that was Gus Greensmith. So we don't usually see the WRC2 runners this high, but he was 7th overall. The first ever win in the new WRC2 Pro Championship. And although he didn't have much competition with Rovanperä crashing on Thursday, 3 kilometres in, so that was his only driver.
And right into the back of Sunderland as well. I don't know if you saw the video, but it went, it's great. It's quite a good fan video.
Sunderland kind of in the ditch, wasn't he? And then Rovanperä followed him, hit the back of him. But so yeah,
we've seen that before, haven't we? I think it was Kubica was down there. He hit someone or was trapped, doesn't he? We see that it only happens in Monte, but good. A really, really good rally, I think, from Greensmith. We probably weren't expecting too much from him prior to the season, but maybe he'll be the one that could be consistent. He'll be the one that can get it to the end, pick up wins, and maybe sort of rival Rovanperä, who obviously, if everything's equal, obviously Rovanperä is gonna win that one. But if he's throwing it off the road, then Greensmith, might have a chance this year.
And it is a bit of a shame how things have worked out, because I think even though Greensmith didn't have any competition in WRC2 Pro, he beat all of the normal WRC2 guys. He was the fastest in the RC2 class. So he earned his 25 points, I think.
I would say so.
But
definitely
got 18 points for nothing, which is a bit annoying.
A good recovery drive though. He's put some decent times. Who we have second then? We have Bernardo in second in the Citroen. Stefan Sarazan was third. What do you make of the rest of the sort of R5 field?
Yeah, I think that's plenty of locals, wasn't it? Really. So that's three Frenchmen finishing off the top 10. Guilherme de Mevius was doing quite well as well. But crashed on the last day.
But
Katsuta
had a sort of bit in there debut sort of.
I think with Katsuta, I can't really pick out many events that he'll be that competitive at, unfortunately.
Next round in Sweden.
And outside of that, not going to be that many, because there will always be, with this new structure of WRC2 Pro and WRC2, there should be more local drivers like there was here. And Bernardo, Sarazan, Formo, local drivers doing well. Tough to compete against those kind of guys, which is good to see, I guess.
I think Formo, especially, out of those three, I think he was really impressive, just because I don't think he has quite the experience levels as someone like Sarazan or Bernardo. So good job. And so I think he's a complete private entry pretty much as well. So good job on him.
And we didn't see too many. So those 3 drivers, Sarazan wasn't actually entered in WRC2, was he?
No.
But Bernardo and Formo unlikely, I would imagine, to do a full season.
It's so complicated, isn't it?
So I think Veiby was probably the highest placed WRC2 runner that's going to do a full season. So he'll probably be quite happy with 3rd. But he had a reasonably tough rally, didn't he?
Yeah, I didn't quite. He was my sort of pre-rally tip, but once again, did not go Veiby's way.
But at least he got something out of that. So interesting to see. I'm hoping that this WRC2 Pro thing does start working, because it was a bit of a shame with only 2 people in WRC2.
Well, we had Bernardo, didn't we, just pulling out after we recorded the preview, pretty much.
Yeah, he swapped. So he swapped from WRC2 Pro to WRC2, which is a bit weird.
I don't know why.
Worked out for him.
Well, he won it now, yeah.
So,
he won it.
But I am hoping that works out a little bit better next time, because it is a tad confusing. But that's all from Monte-Carlo. And we'll be back ahead of Sweden, which is going to be an interesting one, because there's plenty of different entrants that we will talk about in that preview. Lots of privateers, which is good to see, and a few interesting faces that'll be returning. So that'll be a good one, and that's in mid-February. So a little bit of a wait, couple of weeks, but that should be a good one. A cracking start to the season, and I'm sure the rest of 2019 is going to be just as interesting. Thank you very much for listening today. and we will see you for that Sweden preview. Goodbye.